getting to the point of the video, make a 3.2 megahertz oscillator. Make it to where you can turn it on and off. That's all it's needed. And have it turned on and off by an audio frequency or a function generator. You can make a small one with a 555 timer, an integrator, differentiator, whatever, and have that work at any audio frequency you can feed into it, either by programming it or feeding it from a computer. Computers have frequency limits, so you want to use a programmable one. The entire circuit board, parts, and all pieces, including programmable types, can cost you anywhere from $20 all the way down to $4. It can be done with off-the-shelf parts, and you don't have to spend $1,200 for a 20-inch system, because you don't need the gas tube, and you don't have to spend $60 for a real consolidated annotated frequency list for frequencies to kill off diseases. Diseases don't resonate at 40 kHz. Audio frequencies don't kill diseases. They don't affect a damn thing, but they make you feel better. That's cool. Do least harm, or harm reduction, is a simple concept in the medical world and finally in the legal system. Find a way that there's the least amount of harm to society. So here's your introduction on how to make a Rife machine without paying the people who want you to pay them $20 for a list of information you can get anywhere on the net, or $1,200 to build a piece of machinery that creates a really high voltage and dumps it across something that gets rid of most of the energy anyway, so it's a waste of time. So here we go. A guy named Raymond Royal Rife with terror, early 20th century, made a microscope he claimed would let him look at viruses and stuff. But his claim was that all cancer was caused by bacteria, except for one bacteria being confirmed as causing cancer. Cancer is not normally caused by bacteria. His theory was simply wrong. He is and always will be wrong. No, it's not caused by funguses. No, it's not caused by viruses even. That's not the majority of it. But some of it's caused by viruses, a little bit more. And almost none of them are caused by bacteria. And some are caused by a couple of pathogens, specifically parasites. There's 3 or 4. That's it. The rest of the cancers you can get are caused by other. So this is a stupid thing to do. But if you want to do it, don't give these people money. So here we go. Make an audio frequency generator. It's supposed to just make pure tones with 42 kHz maximum bandwidth, because you don't need more than that apparently. Use this in sine or square wave mode to modulate a 3.1 to 3.3 megahertz radio signal. They're calling it an RF harmonic carrier wave modulated frequency. Now the reason they're saying harmonic and such is because you don't filter the upper and lower sidebands. Also, if you use a square wave, basically what happens is every maximum of 42,000 times per second, it turns the radio transmitter on and off. That's all it does. It's a square wave of radio signals. So anyway, next, then, and it's 100% modulation according to their own square wave data. It doesn't have a lower and higher intensity. It goes on or off. Okay, we'll do that. Then you're supposed to amplify this, even though, now at this point, that's the frequency that gets it into the person's body, because that's the woo, they say, at 3 point something, harmonic resonance, chakra maraca frequency is supposed to get inside your cells and kill off diseases. Then they say amplify this, use an amplifier that's got a 15 megahertz max range as an RF amp, even though you're only feeding it 3 megahertz. So you can get all the sideband noise. It'll create odd and even harmonics, mostly odd harmonics, because you're feeding it square waves. Because, yes, the modulator is modulating a 3.2 or 3.1 or whatever megahertz oscillator that's also putting out square waves, apparently. Okay, we'll do that too. That means it would create a lot of harmonics. Anyway, the linear amp you're plugging it into should put out just enough power to drive not a radio antenna or cook you alive. It should just run a plasma tube. But the plasma tube is being used as an antenna to radiate the signal, or quench it so you can't kill yourself by hitting yourself with a raw output from a radio transmitter. But anyway, and this required specialized equipment. We're going to eliminate the need for that. Anyway, the signal is supposed to transmit at this frequency to penetrate the body and deliver an audio signal that's the proper frequency to resonate the aura of a pathogen inside of cells to kill cancer, hepatitis, AIDS, whatever, even though almost no cancers caused by viruses, very few of them, and almost none, except for one, are caused by bacteria. And only a few are caused by larger pathogens like parasites. So we're at the 5-minute mark, and I've already wasted everybody's time by repeating the woo. Now I'm going to read the salesmanship of it. You can experience these frequencies. They avoid saying cure disease. And see whether they work for you, meaning they're not implying they work, so they're avoiding a lawsuit. The 20-inch tube system was $1,200, and we require your first and last name for registration details that will email to you within 48 hours, so your $60 real consolidated annotated frequency list that's archived all over the internet, I got 4 or 5 of them below, can be used. No. Here's how you do it if you want to avoid having to pay these assholes any money. You make a sine wave or square wave generator. Use both. You can have a switch that flips it back and forth. The sine wave gets rectified by running it through a Schmidt trigger to make it a square wave. Nice and clean. And put it at 50% duty cycle. Or just feed a sine wave. That'll do about the same thing, depending on how much you crank it. These are fed to a low-power 3.2 megahertz shortwave band AM transmitter. You could also do another thing. There are crystal standards that are driven off 5 or 12 volts. These are used to time computers. Remember the old days where you'd have a 3 megahertz or a 5 megahertz computer and you had a button called turbo to lower the speed so you didn't have the game go crazy? Most of you don't know that. But anyway, those timer crystals that were like around 2 to 3 megahertz are available. There's a 3.2768 megahertz, exactly, time-based 5-volt clock oscillator for timer for a computer. It pushes, if you use the output just as a radio frequency transmitter, 50 milliwatts of RF energy. It is not able to hurt you because, according to the rules of manufacturing these things, if you accidentally put it on a 5-volt source or just 4 nickel-cadmium batteries and then touch it to your fingers, it can't put off enough RF to harm you. It has to be below legal limits so it can't hurt you because it's being used basically as a timing circuit for a computer. So, by definition, we've produced the radio frequency and we're ready to modulate it by turning it on and off with a square wave generator from a sound source. Because the sound source is powering it. This RF device costs $2 and it will modulate very nicely because it's being fed square waves. Or you can feed it sine waves too. It'll act like it's turning on and then put it out, and it'll be an approximation of it. You can also truly modulate it by taking its output and running it through an audio amp that enables and disables it, and runs it through a couple of electrodes. Now you can, after that point, run it through and amplify it, just straight amplify it, to run a plasma tube if you want to. The other thing is you can buy plasma tubes that respond to sound by getting brighter or dimmer, and they run around the same frequency. So all you'd have to do is go out and find one of those ball of fire plasma, balls that people were selling for a few years, and plug it into your sound system and play the notes through it. It'll pulsate with the signal. That's what it does in the first place. Yes, a lot of you had one of these years ago. I guess it cured your cancer. Anyway, the Mauser part number is, for the oscillator, 732-531P3.2768 MCR. And it's a little bit around, it's around $2. And if you feed it an audio signal that goes as loud as 5 volts, you can make it produce almost the same damn thing. And you just plug it into your sound card or whatever if you want to. That's what they tell you to do. Sound cards don't have that frequency range most of the time, but you can do it, and you can play pure tones with any function generator off the internet. You won't have to spend $60 on the list because I have archives of the list that they put up on their site. They already published it. You don't have to pay for it. And you don't have to buy $1,200 worth of hardware because you're feeding the raw RF into your skin if you really want to do that. These are, by definition, too low power to harm you at that frequency. They've been found to produce no negative effects, but they're not regulated for this, so I have to include the standard disclaimer at 911. The advice I've given is how to build a device that I consider medical quackery, also medically irresponsible and worthless. It is not a placebo, and it is not a panacea. It is a device to experiment with and play with this kind of crap. And it is crap. I wouldn't do this for any reason because I don't have a reason to. It doesn't produce any useful effects. It has no medical capabilities. It is garbage. But it's $2 instead of $1,200, and you don't have to give anybody your information. You just buy it off the net or go rip it out of an old computer. It'll be marked 3-point something, and it's an oscillator chip. Pinouts are below. Feed in the power here, you get out the RF here. Right? Okay. hook this up to a speaker amp until the thing starts pumping out 3 megahertz audio data. It'll be a pulse train, and it's square wave too. You can also get analog versions of the same thing, or you can just build one. All the diagrams are below. You're welcome. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Good luck.